Yaps. It's in the name. Crying on the back of a Walmart parking lot, listening to Creed is not how I wanted my evening to go, but it's how it went. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be too different from the Ayatollah over in Iran. I think they're going to be crying soon, or maybe rolling in their sleep. But we cannot sleepwalk into a nuclear-armed Iran. What is Sean Hannity going to tell me here?
Let's take a moment to look
Fox
at the
News.
facts as they stand right now. There's a lot going on. Israel, they control the skies over Iran and are hitting one military target after another. They are hitting their nuclear facilities. They've taken out their nuclear scientists. They've taken out their top military personnel. They are pounding them around the clock every
Pause. They're pounding them around the clock? No Diddy, right?
day, every night. Meanwhile, Iran is getting
all day, all night. They're having P. Diddy freak offs over there? I know that's kind of an extreme take on it. I apologize. Maybe a little too soon. Maybe a little insensitive. My apologies. But aren't we only taking out, or not only is Israel taking out their scientists and leaders, but the people who fill those jobs, they're also getting taken out. So I would think that Iranian morale probably at an all-time low right now.
Getting desperate. They're launching missiles now at civilian areas in Israel, worse than ever, as today they struck a hospital. Doesn't get any lower than that. But these attacks are weakening. They're getting more disorganized as Israel now is hunting down, eliminating Iran's missile launchers, and they're doing so successfully. Also, indications.
This is the last pause. We're just going to listen to the rest of the video. Why does this feel? I understand that this is, Israel and Iran. This is about nuclear weapons. Why do I keep feeling like it has less to do about the nuclear weapons, even though that is probably a factor, but more so of a factor of getting regime change and getting these, religious extremists out of, power and putting somebody who's a little bit more cooperative, maybe a little bit more progressive in, from Israel and from the United States side. Probably the rest of the world would want that, but that's what it feels like the majority of the pressure is towards. And they're using the nuclear, development as like as a linchpin to say, hey, we got to go in there.
Tonight that Iranians may be running out of missiles and the batteries to launch them. And as Jennifer Griffin just reported, there is a massive U.S. military buildup in the region. American bombers now lining up at Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, F-22 stealth fighter jets en route to the Middle East, and numerous other military and naval assets have been in the area for weeks. One thing seems pretty certain tonight, and that is that the Iranian, quote, republic will not have a nuclear program at the end of this conflict, and Israel may or may not need our help taking out Iran's top secret, Fordow nuclear facility deep inside under that mountain. We have the bunker buster bombs that can do it, as we reported, and the Stealth II bombers that can drop the massive payload without being detected over the skies in Iran. Every military operation, we always pause. It does have danger. There's always danger when there's any military conflict. Not the first choice, but they are the #1 state sponsor of terror. They have killed Americans. We'll get into more details in a minute. Now, it would be by far the best, most efficient way, meaning the bunker busters, to take out this site, this remaining site at Fordow. But in the end, I suspect it will be gone one way or the other. And tonight, somewhat surprisingly, President Trump is still working on a more peaceful solution. According to reports tonight from the White House, there is a, quote, substantial chance for a diplomatic solution. Now, keep in mind, Iran has zero leverage at this moment. They have, in many ways, already lost the conflict. They have no control of the skies of their own country. And as the president said, unconditional surrender and no weapons moving forward. That's got to be part of any deal, and that deal has to be made expeditiously. While this would be the ideal solution, I'm not exactly sure they even know what the word peace means, and the world knows that the Iranians cannot be trusted. Any signed agreement would need to include the immediate access and dismantlement of their entire nuclear program. Understand,
I think everyone wants that.
Have no leverage at this moment. And that would include, by the way, the Fordow site, and that has to be led by an American team of scientists, also including anywhere, any place, anytime inspections. Anything less than that would frankly be meaningless, and we'd be back to square one. Now, if they...
I do kind of agree with that. There has to be some level of monitor, but I don't think it should just be American. I think it should be like a global front where you can have multiple different countries go in there. Anytime, any place, kind of look under the hood of Iran and be like, hey, what is that? What is the yellow and the black little danger symbol over there in the corner? We got to get rid of it.
agree to the most aggressive conditions, and I would add to that, they've got to
2
give
weeks,
up
we'll get
their
the answer,
long-range
right?
missiles
Maybe.
and any
Maybe,
missile
Arma.
that would be in range of any installation that America has in the entire region. I guess
The
if they
Iranian
could do
nuclear
that,
facility
their
was
back
jointly
is
made by
against the
Russia?
wall. But I would
I did
never
not know
trust
that.
these radical terrorists and extremists. They are now desperate. They are running.
I do think technology is going to ultimately modernize the Middle East. I mean, look at Saudi Arabia. So, man, I'm conflicted on these words. So, Arma, everyone else, you can correct me if I'm overstepping this, right? I could see a world where Iran can have a non-weapon nuclear program where it's like 5% nuclear and it's only for energy development and cultivation. And for like generating like energy for facilities, maybe the electrical grid for cities, but not for obviously a warhead. So I can understand that, but that would have to like a joint worldwide, everyone holding hands and singing Kumbaya and looking at Iran and be like, any moment we could open this box, and if there's even a slight indication of weaponized nuclear assets, we coming for the cheeks and we're pounding it all night long.
Out of time. Take a look.
Now, regarding the ongoing situation in Iran, I know there has been a lot of speculation amongst all of you in the media regarding the president's decision-making and whether or not the United States will be directly involved. In light of that news, I have a message directly from the president, and I quote,
I hope so.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. That's a quote directly from the president for all of you today.
That's what you were talking about, Arma. Got it.
All right, we can interpret within 2 weeks. That could be hours from now. Could be 2 weeks from now. As always, President Trump is not going to forecast the plan to the enemy. So if I were the mullahs of Iran tonight, I would act fast, because here's another simple fact that they need to comprehend and understand very deeply. You can call it the Trump doctrine. You can call it whatever the hell you want. Well, the president rightfully hates war. He does. He prefers peace. He gave them 60 days, and he has done everything he can do to avoid war. He also has a backbone, and he's no isolationist, and he's...
I do think Trump is ultimately a New Yorker, right? And New Yorkers, they got the attitude, man. They want respect, and if you don't respect them, they ain't afraid to get the gat out. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, Trump as a New Yorker developed his money in real estate. The man wants peace, but god dang it, does he have a big stick that he can come up and just bop you on the head like he's Kaido and you're Luffy. Ultimately, you may think you're big and bad, but you take the L. Asmir Munir is supporting Trump for Nobel Peace Prize. I'm assuming, who is that? I don't know who that is. Pakistani Army General was invited by Trump for a dinner in the White House. Now, I know my Indian amigos are probably not too happy with that, but it is, we're not giving this guy, the orange man with the blonde hair, any credit for helping de-escalate a situation that, if we go back and look at some of my YouTube videos, I thought was going to be the start of World War III, with India and Pakistan going ham on each other. Trump said, no war, guys. We want peace. I am the peace president, and it does not look good if Pakistan, you're throwing rocks at India, and India, you're cutting off the water supply for Pakistan. It does not look very good.
Proven that in the past. A president who took down ISIS, al-Baghdadi and his associates in his very first year without getting the United States into one of those long protracted wars that everybody keeps talking about. It's a president that took out the number one terrorist of Iran, and that would be General Soleimani.
He did do this on the first administration. Trump did take out a major terrorist, and then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog. And then went on live TV and said, he died like a dog You guys remember that?
Sending a very
That was
clear
insane.
message, again, without any protracted conflict. It's also a president that used the mother of all bombs to take out the entire terrorist encampment in Afghanistan. Do we forget that part?
The Houthis.
The president has stated many times, over and over again, Iran, he's been clear.
That is crazy that he dropped his like kill-tacular, his kill streak when the Houthis were in a large circle meeting, and he just bombed the shit out of them. Arma's personal opinion is that all developed nations or G7 countries must not indulge themselves in this war. I kind of agree with you. But at the same time, it's like, this is where I flip-flop like I'm a freaking fish out of water, where I totally agree with you. I think the G7 nation, let them handle this. But at the same time, if we don't, and we allow these religious zealots to keep running this country, and they develop a nuclear warhead, I fear that those numbnuts, those religious zealots, would convince themselves to use it before anyone else, right? And I don't think they would test it out in the water. I think they would test it out in the field. Like, I don't think they would just like, oh, we're gonna blow this up in the water to make sure that we actually know what we're doing. No, they're not gonna cut twice or measure twice and cut once. They're just sending that shit.
There's no ambiguity here. Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. And that is the correct policy, or the world would risk a potential modern-day Holocaust, and that is not hyperbole. Look at the hundreds of thousands of rockets over the decades that Iran or their proxies have fired into Israel. And how many Americans have they also killed over the years? It simply cannot happen. Now, they have been at war with us since 1979, 444 days, Americans held hostage. They threatened to nuke the United States almost every year. Now, when someone tells you who they are and what they plan to do, I would believe them, especially with their history of fomenting terrorism worldwide. This is something America learned the hard way. After 9/11, remember the 9/11 Commission report, they were at war.
I know this is going to be an insane thing to say, but like, this guy who's sitting on the stage is causing such problems around the world. We got precision airstrikes, y'all, that can just take that guy out and nobody else in this room. I'm not saying that's where it should be done, but that's how it should be done. Very precise, going in with like a precision instrument. Maybe even giving him the Gaddafi treatment and just right up the sphincter.
War with us, we were not at war with them. Put simply, we cannot sleepwalk into a nuclear-armed Iran. The world, America, Israel, the entire region will be held hostage. Now, if there is a solution tonight that is emerging that can keep us out of this conflict.
Iran has more missiles than Israel and more manpower? Yeah, look at the size difference. Israel is like this big, and Iran is like that big. But the issue is that Iran is just lack technical and innovation. Yeah, they also like culture, tradition, like all of that is just rooted in chaos and just nastiness, right? And I think if you're a religious zealot who believes in a religion of just the most extreme oppression, I don't think you're going to ever get innovative with technology or with your culture, to be honest.
With all of the things that I mentioned in terms of any place, anywhere, anytime inspections, if they will give up their long and short range missiles, if they will give up their missile batteries, if they will allow American inspectors and scientists to dismantle the Fordo site, great. I am open to peace. And President Trump is clear. He won't hesitate to act in the end because unlike Obama and unlike Biden, I believe President Trump, through the ways I have mentioned, will always put the interest and security of you, the American people, first. Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe.
Yeah, Fox News is doing it now, too. They're like, click here, subscribe to our mainstream media.